All right, guys, welcome back into another PGA DFS live video. I got the Sentry Tournament of Champions here, so if you guys are here for this, I appreciate it. I know it's a smaller tournament. Kind of getting into the thick of things right now. Mike has a question. He's torn between playing Lando Griffin or Kevin Na. So Kevin Na I do get as a pick. The reasons why you're on him does make sense to me. Or Lanto. So Lando Griffin I do like a decent amount as well. The reason I like Lanto is mostly because he's a guy that can go out and play well at a course like this. And for me to get a player like that, where we know the upside's there, I'm favoring him much more than I am someone like Kevin Na. Kevin Na, he's played here before. He hasn't played well at a course like this before. So that's my worry with someone like Kevin Na. So I probably won't be playing Kevin Na. Let me pull up Lando Griffin here for you. Just had to make sure the tweet went out. We're live. All right. So yeah, Lando Griffin here. So nothing elite here. You know, he's not ranked out well. Course history is decent though. Top 15 in the field. Stat rank not that great. Recent form rank not that great. But he's a guy where he does typically play well in events like this, no cut events. Wind with the weather like it's looking like it's going to be 15 to 20, and he's a guy that does rank out top 50% in the field this week. So he has course history here as well. I don't mind him. Kevin Na has shown that he hasn't played well at a course like this, and I think that's mostly due to the fact that he's not strong off the tee. Now, either is Lanto. That's kind of the problem this week, is that we really don't have any good quality value plays. And I'll pull up Kevin Na here as well. So we can see Kevin Na, nothing great either. The only thing he has going for him really is his recent form. So that's what you would write home with Kevin Na. But I'm not really seeing it with him this week as well. The true value play that I like the most is actually Andrew Landry. I've been landing on Landry a decent amount this week. And I'll pull it up. So pretty or better percentage sucks. Strokes getting off the tee sucks. All this sucks. It does. Nothing that you would like really want to write home about stat wise. And that's why it's priced at 6.3. We get that. Recent form average is decent though, 36. I don't mind that. You know, that's not a bad finishing number. Course history average 22nd. Now that's only last year where he finished 22nd, but still not that bad. Just at his price point, all we need from Andrew Landry is for him to finish in the top 50%. And if he does that, we're going to feel good about it. So that's kind of why I'm rolling with someone like Andrew Landry this week rather than trying to pay up and figure it out in that mid-tier price point range. And a lot of people are going in that mid-tier price point range. So let me pull that up. So yeah, this mid-tier price point range, you know, Colin Morikawa makes a ton of sense. I don't mind him. Harris English, a guy that 9 to 5 has been on a ton. I like him as well. Daniel Berger, you know, I think he's kind of fallen off a little bit, but he's a guy that could definitely go on and play well here. Scotty Scheffler is one where I could see myself like kicking myself for not being on him. We just look at his strokes gain total stat here, 9th for Scotty Scheffler. That's pretty elite. And this is a course where we typically do see that strokes gain off the tee does matter a lot. You know, first in total driving as well. That's mostly due to his strokes gain off the tee, but a good ball striker. Birdie or better percentage could be a little bit better. Par 5 scoring could be a little bit better as well. But he's a guy where if he goes down and wins, that's not going to shock us. And we're going to look back on that strokes gain off the tee and be like, yeah, that makes sense. That's why he went out and won. You know, we wouldn't be shocked at that at all. And then just going off of that as well, looking at the strokes gain total, we got Scotty Scheffler right there, Sergio, surprisingly, which really does surprise me. But Victor Hovland, that was a little bit shocking to me. Looking at Victor Hovland, strokes gain off the tee, 11th there. Top 40 in par 5 scoring, top 40 in total driving, ball striking, strokes gain off the tee. I kind of feel like I'm making a mistake by not playing a little bit of Victor Hovland this week. Ranks out a little bit poorly in the model, and that's why I didn't end up on him. It's mostly due to the price point there. The price point is worrying me some. And I guess a very similar play to him would be someone like Jason Kokrak down there. Jason Kokrak, 22nd, strokes gain off the tee, top 25 in total driving, ball striking, and strokes gain total. You know, Jason Kokrak to me is a nice pay down play for someone if you're really trying to make it work with like a studs and duds approach. So that is not a bad play for me this week. And then just looking at it, I mean, I think really anyone that's down this low, Brendan Todd, Michael Thomas, Mackenzie Hughes, Hudson Swafford. I know I like Lanton. I know I like Patrick Reed and Nick Taylor. But these guys down here, I just don't see how we could play them, in all honesty. Nick Taylor is a guy where he has played well in conditions like this, but I don't see the point of playing Nick Taylor this week. I just hate how it's like such a small week because there's not a huge edge. I mean, you're just playing a few players that you feel good about. For me, that's Joaquin Niemann. For me, that's DJ. And then you're really just trying to get lucky. Yeah, I'm still trying to go like a studs and duds approach there. And let me I'll pull up the lineup builder here for you guys so I can kind of show you guys what I'm trying to do this week. Give it a little second to load here. It takes a little bit, but I know I tweeted this out too. I'll do this once it loads up. The most optimal build just based on averages was kind of interesting to me. It actually does make a decent amount of sense, and it shouldn't ever really work like that, where you're just basing it off the averages that we have there. This is meant for you guys to adjust the points, but I'll show it here real quick, just based on their averages, because I think it's kind of interesting. So just based on the averages, DJ, pull him in there. Makes sense. That's a guy we want to be on. Joaquin Niemann. Makes sense. We want to be on him. Then we also want to be on Ryan Palmer. So instantly, just the lineup generator is telling us, hey, you are going to be on these players, and I feel good about that. So, this is a solid starting build. It's not something you should end up on. Good starting build for this one. I would probably move off of Cam Smith and move off of Stuart Sink and then feel good about it. So let me just kind of walk through it and how I'm going to do it pretty much. So I want to be on those three. I know that the most, but I don't want to be on JT too much. JT, I really just want to be on a little bit, like 20%. John Rahm, I am a little bit worried about him switching to Callaway. I don't know. He seems like a guy that wouldn't affect that much, so I'm not like overly worried about it. But John Rahm does, anytime you get a player switching to some new gear like John Rahm is switching to, that always should worry you a little bit. We saw Ricky kind of tail off a little bit. He switched drivers, switched his swings a little bit. Obviously, Tiger was flirting around with switching his putter. Anytime these guys are switching clubs, it's always somewhat of a worry. So because of that, I'm going to be on him a little bit less than I was originally thinking. I like Xander a decent amount, but only like 5%. So this is kind of how I'm breaking it down. Obviously, I'm going to be pulling these guys in on the high end a lot. But I'm really going to have to hit on some of these guys in the lower tier then. So like someone like Rob Streb, where I do think that he's going to finish in the top 50% of the players this week, then I would want him a decent amount. You kind of have to be bold this week, more bold than you would want to be. And that's why I'm kind of looking at these guys where I want to be on them a little bit more than I typically would feel comfortable with. This is a week where you're not going to feel comfortable with anything. Ryan Palmer, I don't want to use the lock word, and I'm not going to lock him in, but he is close to a lock for me. I'm going to bump up Jason Kokrak's average a little bit here, so I'm going to make sure that I get him in there. Like 20%. But that's kind of how I'm doing it, is I'm looking at players like that. So I'm setting up where I'm not going to be on as many players in this mid-tier price point section, where I'm going to be on these players lower down, trying to really mix and match in the top end, because I really do think it's going to be a studs and duds week. That is going to be the, I guess, profitable approach this week, is going studs and duds. And then just kind of want to show you guys, of course, data sheet again here. Got it live, so pull it up. And we will have some more features coming here next week as well. Pretty excited for that. Going to be like, of course, it's going to be data that you guys can go ahead and look at throughout the week without just having the cheat sheet. It's going to be raw data that everyone can sort through and look at, which I'm pretty excited to have. It'll be something fun that you guys can look at on Sunday to see, hey, this is a good player that we're going to be on, the next coming week. And to me, that's exciting. I did just make this live, so it might not be loading properly. Might have to just go to the player sheet. Yeah, I don't think it's loading just yet. I literally put it live 5 minutes before, so I'll have to check and see what's going on there. But got the player data sheet pulled up here again. Just going to hit on a couple more players. So I know Xander was getting a lot of chatter this week, and I kind of get it. Great course history here. other than his first finish here, and this kind of goes back to where you don't want to exactly be on a guy that's never played here before. 22nd finish, and then we saw that course experience really vaulted into a top 2, and then obviously last year a victory. 10K is a lot to pay up for him though, and I am a little bit worried about that with him. So, not last year. I'm sorry, the year before that. But Xander does make a lot of sense as a play, and it's one of those players where I feel like I should be on it more, but this is just the week that we have where you kind of have to be a little bit more bold than you'd want to be. So Xander, top 14 stat rank, great course history, great in the model. I don't feel good that I'm not on him enough. And then just looking at someone like Colin Morikawa as well. This is a play where, he's had a bad stretch so far this season. Pretty much after he won the major there, he's struggled. He really hasn't looked good, not been putting the ball well, not been driving, or, he's just been, less focused, if you will, maybe. But he still is going to be a strong play. I think he typically does play well at events like this, coastal courses, if you will. Top 10 finisher last year. So Colin Morikawa to me does make sense. He does at 8.8. It's worth the risk a little bit. Now, I wouldn't say like go crazy with it, but I actually don't mind him as a play this week. I mean, that's really it. I mean, there's not that much to go off of this week. The plays that we're on are pretty obvious, and we're on them for obvious reasons. So if you guys don't have any questions, I'll probably be getting out of here relatively shortly here. I wish you had more than what we have, but this is just the week that we had. There's not that much to go off of. It's pretty simple. We know what the weather's like. We know what players typically play well at here, and it's very easy to trim the player pool down. Now, yes, there could be some random variance there where some of these players that, we weren't going to be on go off, but some of these older guys really, I don't expect to play well at a course like this because they haven't. All these like random guys, older guys that have won in the fall, they shouldn't play well this week. Stuart Singh shouldn't play well this week. Martin Laird shouldn't play well this week. Hudson Swafford, Brian Gay, those guys shouldn't play well this week. So what's up, Chef? So I'm just reading your comment there about Xander. I don't know how many. See, that's my problem with tournaments after a break too, and that's kind of why I don't like to play as much after a break as well. It's like we don't really know what these golfers' form is coming into it. We don't really know how much they played, and some of these golfers maybe not playing is going to help them. I know me personally, whenever I take like 2 weeks off, I typically play better than when I was playing a lot of days in a row. So maybe that helps him. You just never know how it's really going to go. Obviously, like when you're in the thick of things throughout the whole year, you know which players are what they're looking like. But when everyone's been off of a break, I really just don't know how players are going to respond, how all those players are going to respond. That's kind of the problem. And maybe that's just why these top end players typically play better here, because they're the best players in the world. If they have a bad round, it's not going to be as bad as some of the other players like down here in this price point range. That could be the thought there. I never really thought about that. That could really be it, because these elite guys, their bad rounds are not as bad as other golfers' bad rounds. Yeah, it is kind of a crapshoot this week. I never like to play these weeks. They're fun, and you got to play them just to have that knowledge based on, because really what you're learning here in these events with these players and kind of just going through the motions, that's really going to help you. Maybe not next week, maybe not the following week, but 4 weeks down the road, like what you learned this week will help you throughout the next few weeks. And that's how you get on these nice like 4-week tears, 2-month long tears where you're cashing 8 weeks in a row, 7 weeks in a row, 6 weeks in a row. It's going through the motions of weeks like this where it really tends to help players out. I mean, I think that's kind of goes back to why I have hot streaks and why a lot of people have hot streaks. It's because they're paying attention every single day. But yeah, just finishing up on here. Who doesn't party the most too? Yeah, exactly. Pretty much it's if you had a bad round one, you're going to be partying. So I had mentioned Mark Leishman a little bit, especially on the 9 to 5 write-up. I think he's going to be lower owned than maybe he should be. So course history is pretty elite here. Top 10 finish. He had 7th in 2017, 4th in 2019. He's a guy where he's a horrible stat fit. I mean, he's one of the worst in the field this week. He had a relatively hit or miss fall as well, but he's a guy where in these specific conditions, he typically goes out and plays well. I pulled it up. He's like top 5 in the tour in these specific conditions. Now that's over the last 4 years, and in these specific weather conditions, it's the least that we've had on tour. I was one thing that I wish I could have pulled it up. I wish it was live on the website there. I was going to show this data point there. It's the most rounds on tour that I had recorded, or tournaments that I had recorded, were 10 to 15, and it really didn't affect the scores too much, which to me, I don't know, that kind of shocked me. I thought, 10 to 15, that's starting to get up there a lot, but I guess all these players are used to it, and 10 to 15 isn't that crazy. So when you start to get up to like 20 plus and 30 plus, that obviously it really starts to affect the ball. And then obviously scores are a little bit lower when they're 5 to 10 or 0 to 5 miles per hour. But I don't know, I found that very interesting. And then 15 to 20, which is what we're looking at this week, it's what happens the least on tour. I guess if the weather is going to be bad, it's going to be bad. And a lot of times at this event, we do see kind of mixed conditions where it rains. It's not expected to rain here at all either as well. So tough to say if that's going to affect the course at all as well. But I think that's all I have for you guys this week. Wish I could give you more. It's pretty simple week. I know next week and the following weeks we'll have more to go off of. It's going to be a much, more fun live stream. So that's all I have for you guys. I'm going to get out of here. If you have any questions, definitely make sure to get those in. It is weird. Make sure to check your lineups, but don't tinker with them too much. The lineup lock time is later than it typically is, which is kind of fun. You can watch it during the day, which I always enjoy. If you guys want to use the lineup builder, don't do it this week unless you're just putting in small amounts. But that's all I have for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Short, quick, easy live stream. Let's have a good week, but don't play too much. Keep a concentrated approach.